moo. So we're gonna do another scary video because I like them. I don't know why. I just do. Okay, let's go. Boop. Oh! Oh, that should be a thumbs down because it's
Hello and
scary.
welcome to all top fives. I've looked at a number
Oh!
of different Japanese
Okay, we're gonna
folklore,
watch that one
monsters,
next.
stories
What
and
the?
creatures. But what
That's
about
a
more
hand with
modern
just-
day urban legends?
Oh!
Japan
Woo!
has
That's
many,
not
and
scary.
they're more
That's
than
cute.
enough to chill
Whoa!
the
What
blood.
the frick?
Number 5, Hanako-san. Starting with
Sorry,
a
I had to
well-known
cough.
urban legend, we head to Japanese elementary schools in search of Hanako-san.
The music.
Also known as Toire no Hanako-san, meaning Hanako-san of the toilet, this is a spirit of a young girl who
heck?
resides in...
This is some scary music. I'll change it for you. Wait. Never mind. No.
bathrooms and haunts those who visit her.
Why would you?
Her hauntings are similar to those of the American urban legend Bloody Mary.
Oh no, she looks
Japanese
so
school children
scared.
who have heard of the legend
does
of
she look
Hanako-san
so,
will
like,
tell you to
not
go into the girls'
scared?
bathroom
Yeah.
on
Oh,
the third floor
no.
and knock on the door of the third stall 3 times.
Bang bang
Then
boom.
call out, "Are you there, Hanako-san?"
No, I'm not.
Or "Hanako-san irashaimasu ka?" And she will answer you, "Hi," meaning yes.
Hi.
After that, the legend varies. One may enter the stall and see a little girl wearing a red skirt.
Don't
But in
go
the
in.
Iwate prefecture,
Don't
you can
go.
expect to see a ghostly white hand appearing from behind
Oh,
the door.
whoa.
In Kanagawa prefecture, however, it's a
Kanagawa.
ghostly hand
It's
covered in
Master
blood
Hand from
emerging
Super
the darkness of the
Smash.
stall.
Don't be afraid of
Finally,
the
in
Master
Yamagata
Hand. He
prefecture,
made
some
him a
believe it's
Super
actually a
Smash.
3-headed lizard mimicking Hanako's voice, and it will eat you immediately.
That's from Jurassic Park
The
in
origins
the
of
background.
Hanako-san are
Whoa,
unclear, though.
okay.
Some say the ghost is of a girl killed by a pervert or a deranged parent and hidden in
Pervert.
the bathroom. Others say she was killed during a World War
Woo,
II air
those
raid.
are Avengers.
Hanako was a
Those are
popular
Avenger
name in the
planes.
1950s when the legend started up, but who knows if she was real? Her spirit now conjured up each time school children call her
That
name.
looks some kind of funny, but not because
Number
it's a
4.
ghost.
Teke Teke. A more dangerous and gruesome urban legend now. The Teke Teke is believed to be another ghost of a young woman, possibly
Oh,
a schoolgirl,
yeah,
but with a horrible history. The girl one day fell onto a rail track and was cut completely in half by a
On
train.
purpose.
Now she returns to Earth as a vengeful spirit, or Onryo, who drags her
Onryo!
upper torso along with her elbows, scratching out a Teke Teke.
Oh!
And seeking vengeance, she wanders about at night. The legend states that
Oh
a
my
young
God.
schoolboy was walking home one night and noticed a beautiful
Oh my
young
god,
woman.
I'm so sorry. My mic just fell completely over. Jeez. Oh my god. I'm like really scared. I don't know.
Resting on her elbows, standing in a window. He smiled, and she smiled back.
Whoa.
Suddenly, she
lovey,
jumped
lovey.
through the window, revealing to him that her lower half was gone.
Oh!
Like a
Shoot,
rabbit caught
shoot.
in headlights, the boy froze in fear, and the Teke Teke sliced him in half, echoing her own grisly death. It's believed that she crawls around after dusk looking for more
Hello?
people to wreak her
That looks
terrible
like
punishment
a
upon.
zombie from that
Teke Teke.
a Walking Dead thing.
Number 3. The Curse of the Colonel.
I think I'm
Less of a
sick or
creepy one
something.
and more of an interesting and widespread legend here.
Colonel
The Curse of the Colonel
Sanders.
is believed quite widely to be suffered by the Japanese baseball team, the Hanshin Tigers, causing them to
Colonel
perform
Sanders
badly
from
in the championship
Kentucky
series
Fried
every season.
Chicken.
Back in 1985, the Hanshin Tigers won the championship series for the first ever time. Their fans were so excited they
Oh,
got rather
those are
carried
some
away and threw
balls.
into the river the plastic statue of their team mascot, Colonel Sanders,
I knew it!
otherwise known as the founder of KFC.
I knew it!
Many fans then believe the Colonel cursed them and the Hanshin Tigers, as the team
What?
gave poor performances for years afterwards.
Why would you
In
throw a
2009, the
statue
statue was
of
finally discovered
Colonel
again, despite police
Sanders?
thinking it was a corpse to begin with. Hanshin Tigers fans identified it as the upper half of their beloved Colonel Sanders statue and reclaimed it, along with his right hand and lower body, which were recovered the following day.
Statue their
However,
mascot?
the Colonel's left hand and original glasses are still missing to this day, and some believe the curse will continue to affect the Hanshin Tigers. At least until the statue gets his hand and glasses back.
Oh no! He lost his glasses, he can't see no more.
Number 2. Akamanto. Another ghostly spirit urban legend based in a bathroom.
Why is there so many
The
ghosts
Akamanto
in
is
the
a malicious
toilet?
ghost that lurks in public toilets and school
Oh my
bathrooms.
god!
The legend goes that in life he was a very handsome man who was constantly pestered by admirers. In death, he wears a mask to hide his looks.
Jesus.
Akamanto lurks in the bathrooms until someone uses the final toilet stall.
Don't.
When they've sat down, they'll hear a creepy voice ask them if they would like red paper or blue paper.
Oh, I heard this
The
before.
frightened victim must then make a choice. If they say red paper, the Akamanto will slice them up until their clothes are completely red with blood. If they answer blue paper, the Akamanto strangles them violently until their face turns blue.
Okay.
If the victim tries to be cheeky and asks for a different coloured paper, it will anger the spirit and they will be dragged into the netherworld. However, you can be saved by declining any kind of paper at all, and Akamanto will disappear. The name Akamanto literally means red cape. This is because of an alternative version of the story, where sometimes the victim will be asked if they'd like a cape instead of paper. Red means the skin from their back is torn off, looking like a red cape, and blue means he drains all the blood from their body.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
not a nice spirit, Akamanto.
Akamanto. He looks like someone from like
Number
Spain
1,
or something.
Kune
Man,
Kune.
I'm getting cold.
Now this one's truly for the modern age, an internet-originated urban legend. Kune Kune was first mentioned in 2003
You know how ghosts
on
are
multiple
supposed
websites
to get you cold?
simultaneously.
Well, I'm cold.
Kune Kune has a long white humanoid
scared,
shape,
man.
much
I'm
like a mannequin
freezing.
made of paper, and it appears on hot summer's days around lunchtime. It makes these appearances in large rice fields, though occasionally has been seen out on the sea.
Hey there.
Whether there's wind in the air or not, the slender white figure's
what
limbs
the
tremble
heck?
constantly, as if it were paper.
That
in a gust
don't
of
even look
wind.
like a person.
In fact, the Japanese name Kune Kune literally means wriggling or waving or
That don't
twisting.
even look like a dude.
It's safe to look upon a Kune Kune from a distance, but if you look at it from up close, the Kune Kune will instantly drive the viewer insane. Watching it means instant death. The best thing to do is ignore the being, and it will leave you alone.
Just
Kune
oh,
Kune
hi
has a lot
there.
of similarities to
Slender
Slenderman,
Boy.
an American internet urban legend. but
Wait,
he wasn't first
Slenderman
mentioned
don't
until
have a mouth and eyes or ears. He just has a white face.
2009.
So that's wrong. This picture
People
is
generally believe all
incorrect.
sightings and accounts of Kune Kune are fictitious,
Kune.
but there are some who claim it as the truth still.
Kune,
In Japan,
Kune.
scarecrows are the subject of many local ghost stories,
Doo
and
doo
this,
doo doo.
along with the potential for heat stroke on hot summer's days, may explain the
Scarecrows-
origin of the Kune Kune.
People think scarecrows will
But
give
if
you
you're
a
walking in the
heat
countryside
stroke.
and a tall paper white figure
Okay.
appears in the distance, waving at you, best not to look too close, hey?
That dude's right there. That's
And that's it from all
Photoshop.
top
I
fives
don't.
for this
Oh,
week.
it's
Please
probably
remember to be
not
civil when
Photoshop,
posting in the
but
comments. If you've
okay,
enjoyed this video,
so-
please give it a like.
so you know that right here, this one is right here. So we're gonna watch it.
We're gonna split your mind.
Split your mind, yeah, yeah. Why was there just like a dog?
Hello and welcome to
Just
All Top
split
5.
your
When it comes
mind.
to ghostly storytelling,
Oh,
there are few
hi
better
there.
than the Japanese.
Oh, I know
From
that.
historical folklore
I
to
know this
modern day
one.
spine tinglers, here are 5
Oh,
ghostly tales from Japan.
Spine tingler. I'm gonna
Number
get
5,
like
Ghost Hand. A
have one
monk
of those.
was walking in the
Jesus
countryside to a
signs,
nearby
because
village
I'm
called Akiyama.
freezing.
As he was travelling,
I'm
he heard footsteps
scared.
behind him, but upon looking round, there was nothing there. He continued on his
Oh.
way, only to hear the footsteps following him again. The monk decided it was
Oh, I
probably
just
the
got
spirit
tingles,
of a person that
bro.
had died out here in the country during a recent drought. He took pity on the spirit, and
Yeah.
after his visit to
I'm
the
not
village,
joking. I
he brought back a
seriously just
sutra
got
parchment
tingles.
with Buddhist scripture on it. The monk waited where
Holy
he'd heard the
crud.
footsteps until long after dark and into the dead of night. Suddenly, a pale white hand emerged from the darkness
Again,
and
master
beckoned slowly
hand.
to the monk. The hand was all there was, nothing else.
Master
Despite
hand.
his fright, the monk
Oh, you
gently
guys ready
placed
for
the
the
sutra in
Super
the dead
Smash
hand
Ultimate? I
and
think it's
chanted the
already out.
prayer written upon it. As he expected, the ghostly hand withdrew and departed from the world. This is a spooky tale from hundreds of years ago,
Spooky.
and the sense of dread following the footsteps and the creeping horror of the pale, disembodied,
that's the guy
beckoning
from
hand
Addams
really
Family.
make it stand out.
That Mr. It or something, I don't know.
Number 4. The Peony Lantern. Here's a well-known
Peony.
tale that's even been
Whoa!
adapted into kabuki
What's
theatre. A
Kabuka.
samurai called Ogiwara, who had lost his wife the year before, looked out of his window one evening and noticed a beautiful woman walking by with a young girl who held a
Bing, bing,
peony
bing, bing,
lantern.
bong, bong.
He immediately fell in love with the woman, whose name was Otsuyu, and pledged
Wait,
his
what?
eternal love for her.
Atsu.
Every night after
Whoa,
that,
who's
Otsuyu
that?
and the girl would visit Ogiwara's
Gee.
house and leave before dawn. A neighbour who noticed this with
that?
suspicion decided to peek into Ogiwara's home and saw the samurai
You
performing
idiot, no.
sexual acts with a skeleton.
Oh,
A
no,
priest
no,
was brought to
no.
Ogiwara and told him he must resist Otsuyu's attractions, laying a protective charm on the home and praying outside it. That night, the woman and the girl couldn't get into the house because of the charm, and Otsuyu called to Ogiwara all through the night. Eventually,
Ogiwara?
Ogiwara couldn't resist any more and came outside to her. The girl with the lantern led the couple back to Otsuyu's grave in a nearby temple, her home, to make love.
Bro, I'm
The
not
following
joking.
morning,
Later then I
Ogiwara's
just got
corpse was
shivered.
found naked and intertwined with the skeleton of a woman,
No, no,
while
no.
another smaller skeleton with a peony lantern lay nearby.
No, no, no.
Chilling and repulsive at the same time, this ghost story has been popular in Japan for centuries.
That's not really a ghost story.
Number 3. Tokyo Taxis.
but-
Another classic. In the city of Tokyo one night, it was
Ugh.
absolutely pouring with rain, and a taxi
Bro,
driver
I'm
was
like
doing good
freezing. I
business.
have like the chills.
Everyone wanted a dry ride.
Bro,
The cabbie picked up
Okay.
a young girl who had hailed him near the big
the
cemetery.
cabbie?
She was
What's a
completely
cabbie?
drenched and seemed very sad.
Aw.
They drove in silence to the
Sorry.
destination that she had given.
Do, do,
Upon
do, do,
arrival,
do,
the girl
do, do.
didn't get out of the cab, but instead asked to wait there. She stared up through the rain at one apartment for 10 whole minutes, watching the person moving about inside
10
in the
whole
light.
minutes.
She then suddenly asked to be taken to a house back near the cemetery, and the driver obliged. A little unnerved, he kept silent and focused on the rain and the road. Once he had pulled the car up
Trying to
outside the
get my
house the girl
bike.
requested, he
Uh,
felt glad the strange
keeps
journey was
falling down.
over and turned round to collect the cab fare. The seat was empty, except for a deep puddle on the seat where the girl had been sitting.
Oh, she's gone.
She had vanished. A knock on the window made him jump then, and the man who lived in the house was there with
Bang.
the exact taxi fare for the driver. He told him the young girl had been his daughter, who had died in a car accident years ago, and that some nights she came back from the dead and travelled to visit her boyfriend's apartment,
No,
then
no,
asked to
no.
be taken home.
I'm running away
The
now.
cab driver
No,
stayed
no,
away from
no.
the cemetery ever after.
No, no, no. Man, these
2,
are
Black
freaky.
hair. Many years ago, a
The
poor
hair?
samurai lived with his wife in the capital.
Bro, I'm like
He was summoned to
getting
battle by a
chills.
distant lord and gladly
I'm
accepted,
actually
leaving his
like
wife
getting
and taking a
chills and
different
stuff. I
woman
don't
who
know.
he fancied with him. After he'd finished his service and returned home late
Man,
one night, he longed
getting
for
the
his
chills.
wife again. Guiltily, he entered his hut, but found his wife greeting him and welcoming him back, rather than being angry for abandoning and cheating on her.
Welcome.
The happy samurai promised
welcome.
never to leave her again. His wife beamed with joy, and they went to bed together in each other's sweet embrace until sleep took them. The next morning, he awoke with a terrible shock to find himself embracing a dried-out corpse.
Oh,
with
no,
nothing
no,
but
no, no,
withered flesh
that's
on
what it
its
is!
bones,
Stop!
and wrapped from head to toe in long black hair.
Ah!
He scrambled out of the hut
Stop!
and ran to a neighbour. "What happened to the woman next door?" he asked them. The neighbour replied,
Stop!
"Long ago, her
Stop!
husband
Bro,
abandoned her.
chill!
She was so deeply upset that
Jesus!
she became ill
Jesus!
and died soon after. As no one who cared for her was around to give her
Bro,
a
I
funeral,
should start like
her body is still in the
praying.
place where she died."
don't look like
It's
a
a chilling tale.
Japanese
and it's so
person.
sad too. But those are often the best ghost stories.
the best ghost stories. Oh, this
Number
is the.
1. Blind Revenge.
Oh,
Many
what did I
years
do?
ago, a samurai by the name
Um,
of Hotsumi
I did
visited an
something.
inn on his travels.
Oh, there we
When
go.
he got
Okay.
to his bedroom, he heard a beautiful voice singing a song and decided to find her, thinking she would be just as beautiful. Asking about the inn, he discovered that she was a blind travelling musician and found out which room was hers. Filled with lust, later
Halo
that evening
music
he waited
insert.
for her in the dark. When she returned, he leapt out and ravished her, which she very much enjoyed. In the
Whoa,
light of
what?
the following morning, he found that she was terribly ugly, a shock to Hotsumi. Although the blind woman seemed enchanted by him, he'd made a plan to dispose of her.
No,
The
don't kill
samurai
her.
led her up a mountain road later that
Oh,
day
oh,
and
oh,
pushed her
I've
off
seen
the
this
road
one
to her
before.
death into a ravine. A year later, the wicked, self-serving Hotsumi had completely forgotten these events.
Yeah,
He was
didn't.
travelling in the
Wait,
same
I heard
area
another
and
version.
stopped to rest one night at a temple.
So I heard another version of this story, and it was like, it wasn't blind. This dude right here poisoned her, and then he wanted like to marry another person, so he kicked the blind person off a mountain, and then like, so him and the new person were supposed to get married, and then he kept seeing the dead person's face, and then stabbed the new woman at the wedding, and then he died.
He was awoken by a ghostly entity and
Ah!
pointed down at him and said,
Die!
"Have you forgotten?"
Bruh! Bruh! What's that? That's just woo! Oh!
Stayed with me and cast me aside when you'd had enough. Although I have no eyes, I see you now.
Oh!
Then she
Okay,
grabbed the
chill!
terrified Hotsumi by the
Bruh!
ankle and dragged him out of bed in a rage. The ghost was impossibly strong, and the
Ah!
samurai couldn't fight her.
Ah!
She helplessly as she dragged him outside.
Why am I
to a
so
nearby graveyard.
scared?
She paused for a second in front of one grave, smiled, then grabbed Hotsumi in an embrace and disappeared with him beneath the cold earth. Monks who had heard the commotion followed the trail the next morning and dug the grave up. In it, they found Hotsumi's mangled body, completely wrapped up in the bones of a skeleton. It was that of the woman that they had found dead in the ravine
Please,
a
no,
year
no,
before.
no, 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 no.
And that's it from all top
Oh,
fives
thank
for this week.
God! Dang. Okay,
I
we're
love
gonna
a
watch
good
this
ghost.
one. Okay, this is the last one. And then I'm gonna get rid of you.
Welcome to All Top
Woo!
Fives. Today I'll be
Oh,
exploring the
there it
wonderful world of Japanese folklore and legends.
Shush, that's
The
loud.
Far East, even in this modern age of the internet, is still a mysterious and intriguing place full of strange
I think
customs
I'm
and stories.
sick.
At least to me in the UK it is. I'm sure many people all
I'm
around
sorry,
the world share this view
but-
and want to know more about some of the colourful
Boy. Hello there.
and scary beings from the fables and stories
Woo!
in Japanese folklore. Well,
Chill,
you're
hold
in
on,
for a
I'm trying to pause. Who are these people? Oh, this dude, I feel this dude. He's scared of heck. Like a skeleton person over here. Like, is she like are these two people like choking or something? And then there's like these weird flying things with red stuff.
treat.
I'd be freaked out
Number
too.
5,
Ow!
Ame Onna. The name of this creature literally translates as rain woman. The Ame Onna is a
Whoa!
female entity
No,
that
no.
appears when it's raining.
I'm
Often
seriously
said to
getting the
cause
chills.
this
I'm
rain
like
by
freaking
summoning
out,
wherever
man.
they appear, the Ame
I'm
Onna are
scared.
considered evil supernatural
Ah!
beings. They look like insane hags, standing drenched in the rain,
Oh,
licking it
no.
off their hands
No,
and
no,
arms and
no.
carrying a large black
Oh
sack.
no,
The
no.
Ame Onna is believed to steal young babies on rainy nights, drawn in by their crying, and uses this sight to take
that's
them away.
ugly.
Some Ame Onna used to be mothers themselves long ago, who had had their
Stop.
own children snatched away. Because of the
Stop.
grief and rage that they suffered from their loss, they
But-
turned into this demon form, the
Gotta
Ame
think
Onna,
me
trying to
channel.
replace
Gotta
their
think me
lost
channel.
child. Most Ame Onna used to be minor deities in ancient China
Hey,
and Japan
what's
who would
up, my
become clouds
dude?
during the day
That
and
looks like
transform into
Thunderous
rain
and
at
the
night,
other dude
living a
from
cycle of water.
Pokemon.
These benevolent goddesses were considered a blessing,
Goddess?
bringing rains for the crops
That's a
or a time of
goddess?
drought. However, according to legend, some of them began to corrupt, slowly turning into the evil Ame-ona, destined to lurk in dark, wet alleyways, searching for children to steal. These days in Japan, people who are thought to be jinxed or cursed by bringing bad weather wherever they go are jokingly called Ame-ona. Hopefully this stays as a light-hearted joke, as a real Ame-ona in our midst, licking her dishevelled hands in the rain, is a creepy thought indeed. Number 4. Kappa. Although
I
it
heard
shares
this.
its name
The
with a Greek letter and
Kappa.
a well-known clothing brand,
This
the
is
Kappa
like
is a
the guy
mischievous
that
and
Yokai
often
watched
dangerous
in
supernatural
Naruto.
creature that
And
dwells
then
in the
this is,
waterways
like,
of Japan.
weird.
Literally
Okay,
meaning
this
river
looks-
child, the
yeah,
Kappa is
these
usually
things are
described as a child-sized
ugly.
monster with 2 arms and legs and green, scaly skin. It differs in appearance greatly across the regions of Japan, but often has a beak, webbed hands and feet, and always a concave section atop its head.
Oh,
If a Kappa's
that's like a
head pool
frog.
ever becomes
That just
dry
looks
while
like
it's
a
away
weird
from
frog.
water, the Kappa will lose all its power and eventually die. In different stories, the Kappa has a varied relationship with humans. Although some live quite far from civilization, others dwell in rivers and wells near towns and villages. They can be quite friendly to people, and some Kappa have even learned Japanese to communicate, living peacefully and trading gifts with humans.
Wait,
However,
why is it
many
monster?
Kappa are violent, evil individuals. They are known to kidnap children who bathe too close to them, and kill
Whoa,
women
no,
who swim
no,
in their
no. We're
waters by
gonna
attacking
blank
them
that
with
out.
sharp claws or drowning them. In areas infested with Kappa,
gonna
people
blank
throw
that out.
cucumbers
That's
into the water
bad.
as a superstitious offering. The cucumber is allegedly the creature's favourite food. If the Kappa aren't satisfied though, they will continue killing humans and eating them, particularly
stab.
enjoying the intestines and the anus, apparently.
Oh no!
It's also possible to trick a Kappa. If you bow to one, it feels compelled to return the favour by bowing back to you. If you convince it to bow low enough, the water in its head pool will spill out and you can escape. Another way to manipulate this river sprite is to trick it into giving its word. A Kappa will reportedly never go back on a promise or break an oath. The Kappa is similar to the Scandinavian mythical monster, the Naki. It just goes to show how popular a legend the river-dwelling carnivore can be across the world, and used as a
Okie dokie, that looks
deterrent
like
story
another
to keep children
human
away
frog.
from dangerous waters.
Oh,
Number
man,
3,
I don't actually
Rokuro
like it,
Kubi.
like-
This monster is a really strange one. The Rokuro Kubi looks just like a regular woman during the daytime, but at night, while the rest of its body is asleep, the Rokuro Kubi's neck will stretch longer and longer,
Jesus!
enabling the head to move around and get up to its
That's
mischief.
freaky.
Some Rokuro Kubi
When I-
spend the night licking up the oil from paper lanterns, and others chase and eat animals. There's even a similar variation called a Nuke Kubi, whose head comes off completely and journeys around drinking the blood from humans and cattle. One
No.
old story tells of a monk who was travelling with his new wife.
Aren't monks
She had fallen
supposed to,
ill,
like,
and instead of
battle
spending all of
these
his money
things?
on healing her, the monk actually murdered her and carried on with his travels. He came across an inn one night and stayed in the same room and bed as the innkeeper's beautiful daughter, the wicked monk. When night fell, the daughter's neck began elongating and her face became his dead wife's face. She berated the monk throughout the
Well-
night for murdering her, and the next day the newly penitent monk built his wife a grave, and every day he went to pray for her at it.
So
Rokuro Kubi aren't monsters that
that's
came
not
from
really
animal
that
lineage,
freaky.
but instead used to be humans themselves long
Dogs
ago.
like that
These people at some
stretchy
point were cursed for
man
their
from
infidelity, or
DC.
indeed for sins against the gods, which caused them to transform
Oh,
into
no,
the
that-
Rokuro Kubi.
that's
Sometimes it wasn't even
scary.
the woman herself who attracted the curse. The evil deed may have been carried out by her husband or father, but nevertheless, she herself paid the consequences. Rokuro
What
Kubi
is
are
that?
quite commonplace in Japanese folklore, but that doesn't make them any less weird or creepy.
It just has like a. Oh,
Number 2,
that just hurts my ear.
Yamachichi. This is a monster that lives deep in the mountains and feeds off the life force of humans while they sleep.
Like,
Blech.
wait.
Ancient Japanese folk tales tell
Pokemon.
that the Yamachichi is a very old creature that used to be a bat
Ah!
long ago. Once it ages and
that's a
takes on the
bat!
form of the Yamachichi, it looks more like a monkey with a long
I
pointed
thought that
mouth.
was a
When
bat.
it needs to feed,
Man,
the creature
I
travels from its
actually
mountain
have the
habitat
chills.
and
This
visits
is
sleeping
freaking hot.
humans in the nighttime. It stands over its victim and uses its pouting lips to suck the breath from their sleeping
What the-
mouth. When it's finished, the Yamachichi
Ah!
touches the sleeper's chest and escapes back into the mountains before dawn. The unfortunate person chosen to be this creature's midnight supper will wake up in the morning and die that very same day. Being chosen
Oh,
could be a
no.
blessing though, as it's believed that if the Yamachichi is caught in the act of stealing a sleeper's breath, it will run away before it can finish, and that victim is said to have their life extended by many years. Even so, I would certainly sleep with one eye open if I was staying in the Japanese mountains, just in case an
You
alien
did!
decided to pay
I
me a
agree
visit.
with you, man.
Number 1.
Good boy, good
Dodomeki.
boy.
Another
You're not
mythical
dumb.
monster of Japanese folklore is the Dodomeki. Formerly
Dodo.
a pickpocketing human, the Dodomeki is a cursed woman with extraordinarily long arms, covered all over with small eyes. It's thought that these eyeballs are actually those of birds. They can be seen moving around and blinking by themselves. Perhaps this curse was exacted as a
Stop.
punishment for her thievery, especially of money. It's assumed that the eyes are there to watch the thief's every action, preventing them from stealing, and the arms are longer and clumsier, perhaps to make it more difficult for her to steal. In some stories, the Dodomeki has eyes all over her body, not just on her arms, meaning she must cover herself in long sleeves and a cloak to avoid being noticed. There are some folk tales where the Dodomeki is a kind of wraith that actually preys upon pickpockets. She warns them of their actions, touching them to take their stolen coins, and transforming them into yet more eyes on her body. The name Dodomeki
Man,
means
this music!
many-eyed demon, or demon with 100 eyes. Although she's not depicted as evil or harmful, she's still a really scary looking monster from folk tales of old. And that's it from all top 5s for this week. Let me know if you've ever come.
Can I just say something really quickly? So, I'm not sure how long this video is. So, I guess we're gonna end it there. Bye bye.